Hey there, pals. Today we are going to learn how to do 4 different knots using some yarn so that we can learn how to macrame. You should have a few materials. You should have 2 long strands of one colored string, pretty long, and then 2 more strands of a different colored string. Now obviously you could use whatever colors you want to macrame, but we're using 2 different colors so that we can more easily see the different knots that we are using for this technique. So we're going to start by learning our first knot, which is a lark's head knot. So with that, you're going to take just one of these strings. This is called an anchoring knot, so this is going to help us attach our cord. That's what this kind of material is called. It's a cord. We're going to attach our cord to our dowel. So to do that, you're going to fold your cord in half. Let's start with, we can start with our white one. So we're going to fold it in half so I have these 2 ends meeting, and then I'm just tracing along to make sure that I can figure out where that middle is. I'm going to put this loop that I have in the middle of it, I'm going to put it under my dowel, and then I'm going to, where there's like a loop here, I'm going to take the rest of my cord and I'm going to feed it through that loop. And then I can pull it tighter and it's secured on there. So then I have the whole rest of my cord here. It's okay if the ends aren't perfectly the same, they should just be pretty close to the same length. Okay, we're going to do the same thing, but I want to use a different cord because I want my cords to alternate. That will help us see some of our knots a little bit more easily. So I'm going to take one of my red cords, I'm going to meet up the ends, trace it along until I get to the center, and again I'm going to put that under my dowel, and I'm going to feed it through that loop. Feed it all the way through and pull it tight. Now these 2 can hang out next to each other, they're going to be buddies. We're going to do the same thing for 2 more over here. So again, I'm alternating, so I'm going to take my white cord, I'm going to have the ends meet up, and then I'm going to have them fold in half, put this under, feed it through. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. There we go. Pull it tight. We got our 3rd lark's head anchoring knot. Now we're going to do our last one. Alright, so now we have these all going the same direction. Now I'm going to flip it over to show you what it looks like on the other side. It looks a little bit different. You could have this go either way. It doesn't make a difference. It's just whichever one you prefer. What I would want to see for this practice though, I want to see that you're able to have them all going the same direction. So I don't want some going this direction and some going this direction. I'd like them to be all going the same direction. Now, if you needed to undo one of these knots, it's pretty simple. You just need to pull on one of these ends and pull the rest of it through. There's going to be some times when you're going to need to undo some knots. I want you to do it really carefully and calmly. None of these knots are going to be so tight that you have to really take a lot of effort to get them out. If you need help getting any of them undone, let me know and I can help you with it. Okay, so we have a nice setup to practice some macrame, but to make it a little bit easier so that this doesn't move around so much, I'm going to use some tape, and I'm going to tape it to my table. That way it's secure and I don't have to worry about it moving around too much. Okay, So as I'm like moving this around, this stays put. It's going to be really easy to work with. Okay, the next one that we're going to learn is a square knot. You might have heard of a square knot before. It might be a little bit different doing it in macrame like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus just on one side at a time. So I'm going to just ignore this side for now, just start with my left side. You could start with either one, doesn't make a difference. So to do our square knot, we're going to have basically two cords on the outsides that are going to be doing all the work, and then these ones in the middle are just kind of hanging out and giving us some good support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take the one on the left. I'm going to make kind of like a triangle with it. I'm then going to take this cord on the right side. I'm going to go over top of the little tail over here. So it's going to go over top of that. And then it's going to go under these two anchoring, these two supporting cords. It's going to go under those, and it's going to go through this triangle. We're going to do this nice and gently. We don't need to use a lot of force. And then we can just tighten it a little bit by pulling on these two outside cords, and I like to just kind of like hold this down, I guess with these two fingers is what I've been using. So we can do that and just pull it up a little bit higher. Now if you wanted it to be lower you could, but for this, because we don't have like a ton of cord to work with, we're going to have it be a little bit higher so that we have more room to do more knots later. Okay, this is half of a square knot. We're going to do the other half by doing the same thing, but on the other side. So again, these middle ones aren't going to be really doing anything. They're just going to be supporting. These two outside ones are going to be doing the work. So this time, instead of making the triangle on the left side, we're going to start with our right cord and make the triangle on the right side. What I want you to notice, though, is that last time when we did this, this white cord was on the left. Now it's on the right. So we're going to be making our triangles with the same cord each time. Okay, so I made my triangle. I'm now going to take my red left cord. I'm going to put it over top of this tail. And then I'm going to go under and through the triangle. I'm going to tighten it a little bit. None of these knots need to be really tight. We can be really gentle with them, because we're going to be undoing them later, so you don't want to make it too tight. And I have my first square knot. Now let's say that something happened, didn't turn out, doesn't look like this. These knots, again, you can figure out a way to undo it. It's not going to be the same as this one, but what usually works is if you find one that's a little bit looser that you can pull on, and you can undo it by pulling on those. So if you make a mistake or make a knot that you weren't expecting or didn't want to make, it's really easy to undo them. Just let me know if you need help undoing them. I'm going to redo this square knot, and I'm actually going to do, I don't know how many more, 2 or 3 more square knots. So I'll talk you through those again, because I want you to also do these. I want you to do the same things that I'm doing. All right, so again, I'm using my white cord, but I'm starting on the left side, making my triangle, pulling this red cord over the tail, under the middle ones, and through the triangle. Gotta do the same thing on the other side. Got my triangle, go over the tail. Make sure these are straight. Gonna go under and through the triangle. You might notice that was kind of a bigger triangle. It was kind of sloppy. That's okay. They don't all have to be perfect and precise. Once you've done this a few times and get the hang of it, you might have your own methods for doing it. So you can actually also, once you get the hang of it, you can start out by just having this red one kind of off to the side a little bit, so that you can automatically go over the tail, under and through. I think, though, I might undo that last one because I just want to have 2 red loops over here. That means that I've done 2 square knots, so we'll just do 2 on each side. So I'll undo that. Got a little hasty there. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. So again, I'm going to make my triangle, then I go over that tail, under, through the triangle. I'm trying to match the same amount of tightness on the other side so I can try to be as symmetrical as I can. All right, triangle, over the tail. This one's really sloppy. Under the middle chords and tighten. I'll try to be neater with my next one. All right, triangle, over the tail, under the middle, through the triangle. And this will be our last one. Unless, I'm not very good at counting apparently. All right, triangle, over the tail, under the middle, and through there. Okay. Yes, I got two red loops over here, two white loops over here. So we have two on each side. We're good with our square knot. If you felt like you needed to practice that more, you are welcome to keep practicing square knots on here. But the next one that we're going to be doing is very similar. It's called an alternating square knot. So we're going to be doing the same kind of knot, but we're going to go like one in the middle, two on the outside, and another one in the middle. So it's going to be alternating where it is. Going to make kind of like a diamond shape with these. So to do that, we're going to still only use 4 chords for this. We're going to just kind of like set aside 2 on this side and set aside 2 on this side. So we'll just have 4 in the middle. So these outside ones, they've been working really hard. You can actually tell because they should be a little bit shorter than the other ones now. We're going to give them a little bit of break. We're going to let them be the inside ones right now. And then these 2 on the outside that have been really relaxing a lot, they're going to be some of our new hardworking ones. So same idea. We are going to make a triangle. We're going to take this one on the right, go over top of the tail of that triangle. My triangle. And then we're going to go under and through. This first one might be a little bit funky because you're putting it in a new place. So what I would recommend doing is tightening it a little bit, leaving just a little bit of room between these, just because that can kind of look a little bit nice to have like some open chords. And then trying to make this kind of like level across. All right, so we got the first half of this knot. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to make our triangle on the right. We're going to take our white cord and go under the tail, under the middle chords, through that triangle, and we're going to tighten it. Nice. Now instead of continuing this, we're going to alternate them. So we are going to, let's do the left side first. We're going to set aside these 4 chords. We're going to let them hang out over here. And we're going to focus just on these ones on the left. So my goal is to make this knot somewhere around here so I can kind of visualize that. Okay, so these middle chords, they are going to hang out here. We're going to have this white chord start. So we're going to make that triangle. We're going to go over the tail, under and through. Right now again, we got to kind of tighten it where we want it to go. What I'm looking for is to get this the same size as this. And that looks like it's right about there. Right, and then same thing on the other side. We got our triangle. We're going to go over the tail and under and through the triangle. Tighten again. And we have our left square knot. Ta-da. Cool. Now let's do the same thing on the right side. So I'm gonna set these chords aside. We're gonna just focus on these ones. We got our middle chords here. All right, so triangle, over the tail, under the middle, and through the triangle. Cool, looks like that matches pretty good there. Same thing on the right side, triangle, under tail, under middle, through triangle. Remember, if you need to pause this video at all to like go back a step or to try something again, you absolutely can. Okay, now middle one. Again, we're going to set these other chords off to the side, and we're going to do one in the middle. So we got triangle, over the tail, through triangle, and I'm going to tighten it to try to get this the same size as that. Okay, now the other side, triangle, over the tail, under the middle, through the triangle, and ta-da! Alright, we got some alternating square knots. Well, so you could see how this is just for practice, but you could build up like a bigger tapestry or cloth or whatever you're making to be even bigger than this. So you could alternate like a lot or have a lot more of these chords and make like a lot of alternating knots. All right, now we're going to practice our last knot, which is a spiral knot. So it kind of has the same idea, same base as a square knot, but it's actually going to be probably a little bit easier. So let's focus just on these middle ones to start with, and then we'll have the rest join in with a bigger spiral. Okay, so I want to start this maybe a little bit lower just so you can see the difference between them. We're going to start the same way we would start a square knot. So we're going to start with our triangle. We're going to go over that tail, under the middle, and through. Like I said, I want to start mine a little bit under, but we're not going to alternate sides. We're just going to do the same side each time. So the color that you use will alternate, or you're going to do that same motion. You won't see it at first, but eventually it will start to spiral. The more you do it, the more the spiral will be obvious. So you're just going to do that same motion, that same square knot, except you're not alternating sides. And once you kind of get the hang of it, you can really get into a rhythm, and this one can go kind of quick. So I'm going to do just enough of them that you can start seeing this spiral a little bit more. You can probably start to see it already. Also, my chord, like what I've done so far, is starting to spiral. That's okay. Eventually, I would, if I kept doing this, I'd probably want to let it go back, and then I could start again on this side. Okay, so the more you do this, the more you would see it start to like spiral and spin. Let's also do a bigger one. So we're going to do one that includes all of these chords. It's still only going to have 2 chords that are doing the work, but we're going to have more in the middle that are going to be like our stabilizing chords. So I'm going to have my outermost one and my outermost chords on both sides. And again, I'm going to start it just like I did with the square knot, but I have more in the middle that I'm going to be going under. Okay. And I want to be careful about how I start it because I don't want these to pull too much, so that looks good to me. And I'm just going to keep on doing that. Now you could do this with the rest of the chord that you have left. Eventually you will run out of chord, or you can do it just for a little bit so you can see those spirals start to form. As you tighten it, I don't want to tighten it too much because again, I don't want these to get too tight. So I'm going to actually loosen it just a little bit so it keeps a nice shape. cords in here needs to be tightened a little bit. That one. Okay. So we'll do that. There we go. And so because I have more cords in the middle, the knot is going to look a little bit bigger. You might be able to see through some of the twisting cords too. That's okay. If you didn't want to, you could make them maybe like a little bit like tighter and scrunch them up a little bit, but we don't need to do that. Like I said, this was just a little kind of mini tapestry that we were doing just to get some good practice in and try some of these knots and see how you can use some of them together. If you wanted to do your own macrame, you could use these in lots of different ways. You could stick to just one kind of knots. You could have just a few kinds of knots. And there are also more advanced knots that you can learn as well. These are just the 4 most basic ones I thought would be good to start with. I would say that if you're wanting some more advanced ones, the vertical lark's head knot is a next good one to try out. Okay, last thing that we need to do is we need to undo this because I want the next group of students to practice using the same cord, and it's good practice to learn how to undo it. So, like I said, when you're undoing these cords, be really calm and careful. You don't need to like pull and like scramble. That's just going to make it more challenging. And I would keep it anchored at the top just to make it a little bit easier. So to undo the spiral, you can, actually to undo all of these, you could just pull on like the looped end and pull the other working cord through. You don't really need to do anything with the middle cords. They didn't do any work, so you don't need to mess with them when you undo them. So it might take a little bit of time to undo them, but it won't be challenging. If you do run into any challenges, of course, let me know, or maybe someone next to you can help you out. But please carefully undo all of this. Please also try really hard not to like separate the individual strings in the cord, because that will make the cord harder for the next person to work with. So please treat these materials with care, undo the whole rest of it. And then if you wanted to keep practicing, if you have time left, you could practice doing different combinations or different things.